Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys know me and my name is Anshika. So I'm back with another video, and in today's video we are going to take a review of a book. So in today's video I'm going to review an amazing book series. I have read it and it is my favorite book series, or you can say my favorite books they are, and I will tell you that in the series which was my favorite book. So as I told you in the first video, that was the introduction video, you are going to find a thought of the day in every video. So today's thought of the day is, sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Now let's move on. So today I am going to review the book series Naughtiest Girl by Enid Blyton. So this was my favorite book series and I loved it. So here in the book set, as I have the book set, I have clicked some pictures of the book set and I have pasted them here. So as you can see on the book set, there is written, "Meet Elizabeth Allen, the naughtiest girl in the school. Will she ever learn to be good?" Well, this question was kind of a easy one if you think, but I won't answer it right now because I don't want to just spoil the and ruin spoil and ruin the plot of the story right here in this video. So let's move on now. Here. So the first book, that was The Naughtiest Girl in the School. It was kind of a very simple name, The Naughtiest Girl in the School, as in this book, she goes to school and she plays a lot of naughty tricks there. So now let me read out the summary of this book. Elizabeth Allen is spoiled and selfish. When she's sent away to boarding school, she makes up her mind to be the naughtiest pupil there's ever been. But the Elizabeth soon finds out that being bad isn't as simple as it seems at Whiteleaf School. So I love all the things about this series, and Whiteleaf School and many characters. I just love them. Now in this book, there was just that she went to school, and everyone was fed up of her, and they just sent to her to boarding school, and also her mother and father, her parents had some work to do, so they had to send her away to school. So then they send her away, but she's not willing to stay there, and she's doesn't like the school at first, but then I won't tell you what happens. So let's move on to the second book now. So the second book was The Naughtiest Girl Again. This is The Naughtiest Girl Again. It was a nice story, and so now let's move on to the summary of the second book. The naughtiest girl is back, and this term she's trying to be good, but someone wants to spoil things for her, and they're not going to let her forget how she got her nickname. So here in this book, this was a nice book, and some people were there who were who were trying to spoil things for her. I won't tell who were they, as I have just I have promised myself not to spoil and ruin the plot for you guys, because after you read them, you don't know everything, and when you're reading it, and it won't be that interesting for you. So let's move on to the third book. Now, this third book was kind of a special book for me because one of my favorite characters, that is Julian Holland, appeared first time in this book, and it was this. He soon became Elizabeth's best friend, and I just love both of them. So this third book was kind of special for me. Now let's move to the summary of this book. When Elizabeth Allen is chosen to be a school monitor, she is delighted, but she soon finds out just what a responsible job it is. Really, being a monitor is really a responsible job. If I tell you my incident when I was in the grade second, my teacher appointed me as the class monitor, and one day I was just chatting with my friends, and she took away that monitor badge from me, and it was kind of a sorrowful moment for me. Well, I didn't cry in the class. I'm just thankful to God for that. So now let's read ahead. The harder she tries, the worse she behaves. Will the naughtiest girl in the school ever learn to be good? Now, this was, as I told you, was a special book for me, and the girl here, as you can see in this book, is a really a horrible girl, and it isn't a very good friend to Elizabeth. So now that's all I can tell you about the book, the third book, because I just don't want to ruin it. I'm repeating it, I'm sorry. But now let's move on to the fourth book. Here's Naughtiest Girl. Well, this kind of seems a really simple name. Here's the Naughtiest Girl. So now I'm going to tell you that what all happens in this book. There's a new boy in Elizabeth's class. He's sulky and grumpy, and he'll do anything to show Elizabeth up. She means to keep her temper, but it's not so easy for someone who was once the naughtiest girl in the school and now she's a monitor. She has so much more to lose. So, as I told you about my incident, being a monitor means that you have so much more to lose, and now she is really. It was a difficult journey for her to face that grumpy and sulky boy in in her class, and being a monitor side by side. So now let's move on. The fifth book here is The Naughtiest Girl Keeps a Secret. Elizabeth intends to put her naughtiest girl days behind her and behave in a way Vitaly School will be proud of. Now she tries to make the school be proud of her. But when John entrusts her with his secret, the naughtiest girl finds herself in deeper trouble than ever. This is, there was a secret of John, a boy in her Elizabeth school, and now I'm going to move on to the next book before I give away something important. So here is the sixth book. The Naughtiest Girl Helps a Friend. This book was kind of a little, boring one, as there was not my favorite character in this book. It was, as I told you, my favorite character is my most favorite, you can say. My most favorite character is Julian Holland. So he wasn't there in this book because this is kind of a story of half term when half of the school has gone to their homes for holidays. So there are only few people who are there left in school, and there is a camp in which students should live. So in that she helps her friend, and now I'm going to tell you that what all is going to happen in this book. How can the naughtiest girl be good at camp with horrible Arabella in the very same tent? Now, as you saw in the third book, I am going to tell you now. This girl here, as you can see, is actually Arabella. So this was kind of a really, she thought that she's kind of a princess, and she called Elizabeth a tomboy. Well, I didn't like her either. I didn't like her either, Arabella, because she was kind of always, she remained so, she was always boasting about her wealthiness. Well, I am not denying that Elizabeth wasn't rich, but she was also rich, but she never boasted about it. But Arabella always showed it. So now let's move on back to the book we were on. So we were on the sixth book, and now I'm going to read out the story. So we have read Arabella in the very same tent. Now we are going to read ahead. Especially when she's busy stirring up trouble for Elizabeth's best friend Joan. Now, as I told you that a girl was her best friend and she helps her. Now, Joan was her best friend who became friends with Elizabeth in the first book. So, in this book, they were going. Elizabeth is going to help Joan, and and now let's read on. But it seems that Arabella isn't the only one causing trouble for the best friends. Well, who it can be? Who else can be? I mean, after reading the third book and after reading all the incidents and all the mischiefs and all those bad things that Arabella did to Elizabeth, you are surely going to think that who else can be more horrible than her, and who else can be more nefarious than her and can stir that much trouble for Elizabeth's best friend. But there was someone else. Let's move ahead now. Now, the seventh book. I liked this book because when I read out the summary, you are going to find out why. So, in this book, The Naughtiest Girl Saves the Day, this was a nice book. And now, let's move on to the summary. When some school strawberry plants are vandalized, a a lost blazer button at the scene of the crime leads straight to the naughtiest girl. It is hers, but how did it get there? And why would anyone want to pin the blame on Elizabeth? With Julian's help, she vows to get to the bottom of the mystery. Can you see something here? As I told you that this was my kind of a favorite book. I like two books here in this series, that were the seventh and the eighth book. So here, as you can see, the name Julian appears here, so it's obvious that I'm going to like this book. With Julian's help, she was to get to the bottom of the mystery. So I told you that some of those people were my favorite characters. So there were four favorite characters of mine. And as most people who have read this book would say that their favorite character was the naughtiest girl, that is Elizabeth Allen. I don't think so that she is. Well, I count her in the four, but most of my favorite, but I have three most favorite characters that are obviously first is Julian, as I told you. Second, the head boy and head girl. I just love them. They both are really honest and they always are ready to help Elizabeth. And they run the school very well. And I just wish to go in a school like White Leaf. So, well, I know I can't. So, let's move on. I told you that the head boy and the head girl, I like them. Their names were William and Rita. I love both of them. And as I told you, the fourth character, as I told you that I count Elizabeth in the four characters I love, and the fourth one is Elizabeth. So, now let's move on to the eighth book. That is my second favorite book. Here, well done, the naughtiest girl. So in this book also, Julian plays a really big part. But here in the summary, you are not going to find his name, but surely you are going to find Arabella's. So now let me read it out. Elizabeth is desperate to play the piano at the end of the school concert, but only one student can be chosen. Her rival, Arabella, is very good. As you can see here, Arabella. I'm just fed up of this name and I just want to get rid of it. I mean, it kind of seems funny. It is. She is only a character, but it is really. I just feel really horrible when I read out her name. So now let's move on. So Elizabeth spends every waking minute practicing, but exams are looming, and piano practice leaves Elizabeth with no time to revise. Will the naughtiest girl have to stay in the first form another year? Well, now I'm not going to answer this question as I don't want to ruin the plot, as I told you. So, in this book, I have another incident to share about myself regarding this book, and it is kind of, I think so it was this book only, or I think it was the seventh, but I believe that it was the eighth book. And as I told you, I just was messing all those things up, and I was just creating a mess there, that I was jumbling up everything. So I have decided to reread all those, and I am on the first book, third chapter again. So now when I read it, I'm surely going to find out in the eighth book what was the reason that I was so mad about it. So I was kind of having my maths test the next day at night, and I have a habit of reading one chapter of any novel I'm reading currently. I just have a habit and of reading one chapter of the novel. So I was reading, and most of the time when the chapter ended, there was kind of a suspense there. So I was kind of mad, and I wasn't worrying about my maths test, but I was worrying about what will Julian do. I mean, everyone was calling me crazy. My grandma, my mother, and my father was actually out, so on a business trip. So even I told my father about it, and everyone was just laughing at me. But I wasn't worrying about my match test, and I was worrying about Julian. My God, I feel crazy right now. And so now let's move on. But I believe it was this book only. So now let's move on. Yeah. Now the second last book, The Naughtiest Girl Wants to Win. There are 10 books in total, and also I'd like to tell you one thing here in this. If you are going to open this book and look at the last chapter, it is kind of a sorrowful chapter, that goodbye to William and Rita, my favorite characters. When I was reading that part, I was reading the end part of the novel. They were graduating from the school and they were going to go to college, and then it was really a bad moment for me, and I was really I was really sad when I read about it, that William and Rita are going to leave the school, and in the next two further books they are not going to appear. So now let's move on to the ninth book. So in this book, The Naughtiest Girl Wants to Win, this is all about the elections, I mean kind of elections that happen in their White Leaf School. Here children by themselves decided their monitors and their head boy and head girl. So there were again elections held for head boy and head girl. For William and Rita moved out of school. So here there was kind of, Elizabeth was there with a girl named Amma. So Amma, I imagined Amma as Emma Watson, as I told you that I like the Harry Potter movies. I imagined Amma as Emma Watson, and it was, I made many popular celebrities as I imagine many popular celebrities as characters here. So now, now I'm going to read out the summary. Elizabeth is furious when a girl new to the sixth form becomes head girl over her friend Emma. Now she stands with Emma, but a girl named Carrie, you can read it in the further lines. A Carrie named Carrie, I remember the surname, it's Carrie Dane, I think so, yeah, it's Carrie Dane. So she becomes the head girl over her friend Emma. So now let's read further. She knows the new head girl, Carrie, is a nasty piece of work. But how can she prove it? Carrie is cleverer than Elizabeth thinks, and somehow she just manages to make the naughtiest girl look like a troublemaker. Now, in here, as you can see, they Elizabeth and her friends organized campaigns for Emma, but still it didn't work. As you can see in the cover of the book, that they were organizing campaigns, and they were holding parades through a school of every floor and through a whole school. And so she was really supporting Emma by her heart, but even then Carrie becomes the head girl, and it is just kind of a matter of a few votes that Carrie gets a little higher number of votes than Emma. And this was, I don't remember the exact number of the votes, how much Carrie got and how much Emma, but you can surely find it out when you are going to read this book. So as you can see here, Carrie is a nasty piece of work, really she was, and she was a rude little creature, and nobody liked her. Nobody liked her after they got to know her reality. Alright, before anyone knew her reality, she was really a famous girl. Everyone thought that she is really good, and but she wasn't in real life. So let's move on to the last book. I just hate the word last in this book series, because it was kind of, first thing is that it was the last book, and I just fell in love with this book series, and I just didn't want to leave reading it. And the second thing after reading the last book was that it was kind of an abrupt ending. So it was kind of they were chosen, there was quarrels and there were fights about monitors. So let's read about it to find out what was the matter. Elizabeth is overjoyed to be appointed monitor again, but one of the second form boys is slowly turning all the boys against her. Can the naughtiest girl find out who has a grudge against her and why? Now I think so. I know that who has it. but I'm not sure, and I'm not obviously going to tell you. I won't tell you if I was sure. If I was sure, I won't surely tell you because I just don't want to spoil the plot. Now, as you can see here, that Elizabeth is overjoyed to be appointed monitor again. But once again, she was appointed, and one of the second form boys, was turning all the boys against her. The main major problem was that a boy was there and he wanted to share something with the monitor. There were two girl monitors in Elizabeth's form, and there was no boy monitor. So he was kind of, he wanted a boy monitor in the form. So you know, he turned all the boys against her, and he said that Elizabeth has to get off the post of a monitor, and a boy monitor should be appointed. Well, I'm not going to tell you who of the two girl monitors was removed from the post of the monitor, but yes, you can find it out after reading the book. So this was all in today's video, I'm afraid, and I just loved reading this book. Thank you and have a nice day.